What if the single greatest gift you could ever give your child isn't a thing at all? What if it's your own healing? Today, we're diving into a really profound idea, that a silent promise we make to our kids when they're born can only truly be fulfilled when we learn to heal ourselves through something called magical listening.
Just take a second and think back to that moment, holding your child for the very first time. There's this overwhelming feeling, right? But underneath it, there's also this silent commitment, this deep promise. This isn't just some fleeting emotion. It's what psychologist Dr. Michael Lukens calls committed benevolent interest, basically an innate, action-oriented dedication to their well-being. And that promise, well, it's the foundation for everything we're about to talk about.
So here's the plan. We're going to start with that unspoken promise, and then we're going to get real about why our best intentions sometimes fall short. After that, we'll introduce this idea of magical listening, break down its core ingredients, and then finally, we'll see how it all comes back to the most important piece of the puzzle, healing ourselves.
All right, so let's start with that foundational promise. Because it's so much more than a feeling, it's basically the mission statement for your entire parenting journey.
Think about it. That initial rush of love, that's our why. It's the reason for all the late nights, all the sacrifices. But, and this is the big question, are our day-to-day actions actually lining up with that powerful initial promise?
Because let's be honest, despite all that love, parenting is hard, and sometimes our best intentions just don't land right. So let's explore that painful gap between the promise we feel in our hearts and the reality of our actions.
We've all heard this, right? Maybe we've even said it ourselves to sort of make peace with how we were raised. I'm sure they did the best they could. But what if there's a better, more empowering way to think about that?
And this right here shows the shift perfectly. Saying they did the best they could, it almost implies this hard limit, like that was all they were capable of, period. But saying they did the best they knew how, well, that opens a door. It suggests that if they had known more, or healed more, a better outcome was actually possible. See, it's not about blame. It's about recognizing the potential for growth, for them, and way more importantly, for us.
So what creates that gap between what a parent knows and what a child really needs? So often, it comes down to our own unresolved stuff, our own unhealed wounds. The source material calls this trauma, and it's definitely not just about the huge, catastrophic events you might be picturing.
So this list here details what researchers call ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences. These are definitely the big T traumas. And yeah, study after study has shown a clear link between these kinds of experiences and the challenges we face later in life. This is some heavy stuff, I know, but understanding it is so important.
Now, it is really easy to look at a list like that and think, okay, phew, that's not my story. But the thing is, the idea of trauma is actually much broader than just these major events.
And this is where it becomes relatable for just about everyone. These are the hurts that almost all of us experience. Being teased at school, the stress of a divorce, the deep, real grief of losing a pet. They might seem smaller, but their cumulative effect, it can be just as powerful. These are the little wounds that shape us in ways we don't always see.
Okay, so if these wounds, big and small, are so common, how in the world do we heal them? This brings us to the absolute heart of this whole explainer, a concept called magical listening.
And the fuel for magical listening is compassion. But this isn't just feeling sorry for someone. Look at that key phrase, a strong desire to alleviate the suffering. It's love in action. It's that committed, benevolent interest we talked about at the beginning. It's active, it's engaged empathy.
And here is the beautiful part. It's a cycle. It's like this amazing healing engine. When we get love and compassion, it helps heal our own wounds. And then, as we heal, our own ability to feel and give love and compassion grows. It allows us to offer it more freely to others, especially our kids. It's just a powerful, positive feedback loop.
Okay, so let's get practical. How do we actually put this love in action to work? Well, magical listening is built on 4 core ingredients. And these aren't so much skills you have to learn, but potentials you can unlock within yourself.
First, it all starts with undivided, passionate attention. No phones, no distractions. Second, it's about experiencing and expressing your love fully. Third, it has to come from a place of genuine, authentic compassion. And finally, number 4, it requires you to actually understand how emotions work. These 4 things, together, that's where the magic happens.
Now that second ingredient, expressing love fully, it sounds so simple, doesn't it? But this slide shows exactly why it's so incredibly difficult for so many of us. Our own past wounds, they build up armor around our hearts.
We've been hurt, so of course we're scared of being vulnerable again. We've been shamed, so we hide parts of ourselves. We've run from our own childhood pain, which makes it absolutely terrifying to sit with our child's pain.
And this quote just says it all. It's a gut punch, really. Our capacity to be there for our kids is directly tied to our capacity to be there for ourselves. We just can't pour from an empty cup. We can't be a guide for our children through an emotional world we're too afraid to even enter ourselves. And that brings us to the final, and honestly the most important takeaway of all. The path to becoming the parent your child truly needs, a truly gifted parent. Well, it's an inside job.
This is so crucial. This isn't a technique you master, like learning an instrument. It's not about memorizing the right words to say. It's more like an archaeological dig. It's about carefully clearing away all the rubble from our own past hurts to let the love and compassion and attention that are already there shine through.
I mean, the message from the source material couldn't be more direct or more profound. The single greatest gift you can give your children is your own healing. When you do the work to heal your own wounds, you're not just doing it for yourself. You're literally breaking generational cycles and opening up a whole new world of emotional connection for them.
And that's really what it all boils down to, isn't it? Becoming a magical listener for our children starts with the brave and absolutely essential act of turning inward and finally truly listening to what our own hearts have been trying to tell us all along.